Hey, what's up guys? My name is Gene, I'm JAXTWIN, and on this channel we talk tech. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing to stay up to date when I drop new videos every week. But before I start this week's video, I just want to say thank you to all my new subscribers. We're almost at 2,500 subscribers, which is insane. So just wanted to say thank you, and I also wanted to give a big thanks to my friends over at Fishskin for sending me one of their latest and greatest skins to review. Now, back to the video. So I had the chance to use both the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 8 Plus over the past few days, and I have to say that I was actually really surprised by how both of the phones handled. What I took away was actually pretty cool and kind of nostalgic at the same time. Looking at the exterior, the phone is made up of all glass and sports the iPhone's Retina display with Touch ID. Now, this phone actually comes in 4 different colors, weighs about 5 ounces, and houses an 21 milliamp battery. So some notable features include fast charging, Qi wireless charging, and the water resistant. Not bad for a phone that was released a couple years ago. Now, despite some features found in newer iPhones, some would say that the phone's iPhone design is outdated with its thick bezel designs and all. But one could also argue value from a phone that came out a couple years ago. Now, why don't we go ahead and talk about Touch ID? How is it? Now, first off, setting up Touch ID was fun as you could feel the sensor under your finger. In comparison, I found that Face ID felt a little faster in application than Touch ID. Sometimes Touch ID felt a little cumbersome while having to take the extra step to unlock your phone. However, there were some scenarios which Touch ID was amazing, and unlocking the phone at night as an occasion was actually pretty cool. Now, I did try to swipe up a few times before remembering how to use the home button to unlock the iPhone, but that's to be expected since I've been using Face ID for a while now. Now, continuing on in my real-world test, Touch ID was actually pretty spot on. Touch ID was super responsive and pretty fast. Now, I found that having 2 fingers set up made the most sense to make the experience worth it. Now, some of you may ask, how is it compared to Face ID? Now, as you know, at the time, this was the last phone that Apple came out before it introduced Face ID in the iPhone 10. So many of us were like super skeptical about Face ID, and you know, it made sense back then because this was a technology that none of us have ever seen before. Now, performance-wise, the phone held up actually pretty good. Both phones, the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 8 Plus, was fast, and that's actually comparing for someone who's used Face ID and Touch ID. But if you've used Face ID, you'll definitely notice the difference in speed, as unlocking the phone and switching between apps do require the use of your finger. Now, let's go ahead and talk about cameras. What about the cameras? Now, both phones actually come with a 12 megapixel 1.8 aperture, or f-stop is 1.8, which is about 28 millimeters wide. Now, it also does feature dual tone flash HDR. Now, for video, you do get up to 4K 60 frames per second, HD up to 240 frames per second, which is actually pretty cool. Now, given the short time with the phone, I was only able to take a few photos and a couple of videos, but in my use case, it was actually pretty decent. Now, what about the battery life? Man, that's actually one of the areas that I was so surprised by. And again, it was kind of the last thing I thought about when I picked up the phone, but also the thing that surprised me. It just reminded me why the 8 Plus should be the phone that you consider if you're looking for a big iPhone with a Touch ID. Now, surprisingly, the 8 Plus lasted close to many of the new phones that are out there right now. Now, I was able to get close to what I got with my XS Max, which was crazy. Again, mileage is going to vary depending on your usage, but you should be able to get about 10 to 13 hours of watch time, as Apple indicates on its website. Now, there's a question that I know that I'll get asked about the 8 Plus and the 8, so I figured that let's go ahead and talk about the differences. Now, the iPhone 8 Plus definitely sports a bigger display, a larger battery, 1 extra gig of RAM, and weighs a little bit more, and also has a telephoto lens. And that's pretty much the difference between those two phones. One's bigger, one's smaller. So who's this phone for? Now, As you guys know, I've talked about budget phones in the past and reviewed a few phones, and it's safe to say that the iPhone 8 Plus is actually an excellent choice for someone who's looking for a big, affordable iPhone, an iPhone that actually lasts long. And as for the smaller 8 iPhone or iPhone 8, I'll call it a draw between this phone and the iPhone SE 2020. So that's pretty much my review, guys. I'm actually pretty curious to ask you guys, what do you think of the iPhone 8 Plus or the iPhone 8? Do you have it? Do you still rock it till this day? And if so, why haven't you updated yet? Or why haven't you upgraded yet? So I'm very, very curious to hear what you guys think. And again, I just want to give a big thank you to you guys, especially as I get closer to 2,500 subscribers. You guys have no idea my mind right now. So it's been about a week. I've been trying to think about my videos, but I keep seeing that number go up, and I'm just like, man, I'm so thankful. But definitely leave your comments down below as always, guys. Please consider subscribing if you haven't done so before. And as always, thank you for watching, and until my next video, peace.